Good morning and welcome to the Forex Daily Update, brought to you by Pepperstone on Wednesday the 14th of November 2018. I'm Darren Sinden, and you can follow me throughout the day on Twitter by using @ds_Pepperstone. Alright, let's kick off with a look at the overnight changes and price moves to be aware of. Relatively quiet session as far as the world's foreign exchanges were concerned, especially by recent standards. But we have seen the euro continuing to give ground against the US dollar, down by around 0.24% on yesterday's session to trade at 112.8620 shortly before we went live with the video. Cable doing a bit better, sterling adding 0.12% against the greenback, but trading below that key 130 level, 129.8670. The cable rate shortly before we went live. In terms of emerging markets, a mixed bag really. The Indian rupee gaining against the US dollar, the Brazilian real slumping, losing just over 1.12% against the US currency. Dollar index for its part is easier, 97.17, down by around 0.14%. Will we retest 97.00 as a support, a level that of course we took such a long time to break through on the way up? That's probably something to keep an eye on over the coming days. Okay, what's on the calendar? Events that may move the markets today. Probably the busiest day of the week as far as data's concerned. We've already had wage price index data, retail sales and industrial production for October out of China and Australia respectively. To come, we have gross domestic product out of Germany for Q3. That'll be both on a year-on-year, quarter-on-quarter basis, and that's, as I say, 7 a.m. GMT. And then at 9:30 GMT, retail price index and CPI data out of the UK. A chance to get a top-down and bottom-up look at inflation in the UK economy currently. Of course, this data comes hard on the heels of wage and unemployment data released yesterday. At 10 a.m, we shall have GDP from across the Eurozone for Q3, and it'll be very interesting to compare and contrast this data with the German data released some 3 hours earlier. We should also have at the same time industrial production data for the month of September from the Eurozone. And then we have a pause until 13:30 GMT when we cross the Atlantic for CPI data across a range of metrics out of the USA, so a good look at US inflation and what that means perhaps for US interest rates. And then at 1500, the first of the day's central banker speeches from FOMC and Fed member Quarez. And at, after, I should say, a 6-hour break or more, an 8-hour break, sorry, till 2300 GMT, we will have a speech by the Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who's speaking at a conference in Dallas today. Okay, breaking news and comment then that's caught my eye overnight. First of all, Chinese retail sales grew at their slowest rate for 5 months in October, and this was the latest data to suggest a slowdown might be on the way in the wider Chinese economy. I have to say that the industrial output data that was released at the same time was slightly better, but the retail sales data seems to be grabbing the headlines this morning. Meanwhile, the UK and EU negotiators have created a draft Brexit agreement, and the UK Cabinet will review the document today. It's debatable whether they'll agree to sign off on it, but we'll have to wait and see how that transpires throughout the course of the day. US equities, meanwhile, have remained in the red overnight, and Asia Pacific stock markets have had a very mixed session so far this morning. Okay, food for thought, something for you to take away with you into the trading day and beyond, and why not think about this? The question I'd like to pose here is what's next for oil? Saw a very sharp sell-off in oil yesterday afternoon and into the early evening, and I've highlighted the whole of the energy complex here in this table, but I just want to flag the weekly and monthly moves in Brent crude and WTI respectively, and also perhaps to point out that whilst oil has been trending lower, natural gas has been rallying both over the month and over the course of the last week on colder than usual weather in the USA. Here's the chart of Brent crude, a simple line chart. You can see how we've sold off over recent days. Very interesting to note though, the RSI is trading here around the level of 19 to 20 points, so suggesting it's well oversold. That doesn't mean, of course, that it can't go lower. Okay, risk warning time. Please take a moment to read this risk warning. Trading CFDs and foreign exchange on margin can be a risky business. If you're in any doubt about those risks or the suitability of leverage products for you, then please do contact your Pepperstone account representative, and do take a moment, please, to read this risk warning. Thank you for your time today.